It's time for the Jesse T Show. Well, it's me, Jesse T. Good to be back on the air with you, on the air and everywhere from the community to the world. Good to be here with you. We are out and about the city right now, in the city of Los Angeles. We're in the city of Burbank. We're going to be doing some things a little bit different now from now on the Jesse T Show through the week. I just found the show to start getting a little bit stale and a little boring and a little bit kind of, same old kind of stuff. So I'm going to go back to the original when I first started the Jesse T Show 6 years ago. I'm going to go back to a time where I was just out there hopping along and bumming along and moving fast and shaking a lot and shaking the trees and doing what I do all by myself. Me, myself, and I, Jesse T. Of course, we're going to have the guests and the stars, and we're going to talk to the politicians, and we're going to cover the emergencies and all that stuff. And Dan the Man, of course, is going to be an integral part of the show. We're not going to lose Dan the Man. How can you lose Dan the Man? No way, absolutely not. But we're going to be mostly out in the street from now on here with me, Jesse T, just doing what I do best, and that's just kind of hanging out with you, talking about the topics of the day, and trying to put us in some areas that are kind of cool and kind of neat, maybe some things you didn't learn before, didn't know before. Right now I'm in the city of Burbank. I'm over by Warner Brothers Studios, one of the oldest studios in the world. In fact, it is almost the oldest studio. Paramount Studios is older than that, but Warner Brothers was a studio that brought talkies to the world. Warner Brothers was the one that created the ability to put audio on film, and they went with it, and it was such a investment of scarcity at the time. It was really a big chance, because up until then, of course, films were always silent films with the organist or whatever across the nation in the theaters. But Warner Brothers took a chance on this new technology, and they ran with it. And because of that, Warner Brothers became the most profitable studio in the world for many, many decades. And during World War II, they were doing something like in the area of 600 movies a year during World War II, coming out of the studio behind me, which we're going to walk up on here in a second. And we're going to talk about some things and what's going on today. Across the street here, this cool building here, this is the world famous smokehouse. If you've never eaten here in Los Angeles and had a really good steak, when you come here, come to the steakhouse, the smokehouse. This has been here before the studios were here. This was on Barham Boulevard, and this was a street known as Dark Canyon before the freeway was put in. And this was the first fine dinner house, one of the finest here in the San Fernando Valley, going way back to the teens. The smokehouse is a very terrific place to have great steak, and we've got a nice bar, nice setup in there. It's just a kind of an old school. You feel like you're in a Frank Sinatra movie or a black and white movie from the 1930s and 40s, and the movie stars are hanging out right there. And the movie stars used to come across the street here all the time and hang out after their long day of shooting. You can still see lots of stars in the smokehouse. A lot of deals have been conducted there over the years. A lot of producers and directors and a lot of meetings have been conducted. Big contracts signed here at the smokehouse at gate 1 of the Warner Brothers Studios. Getting kind of noisy out here. Now, this street right here where my finger is, that's Lakeside, and that goes to the Toluca Lake Country Club, where actually there is a lake. It was a natural spring that was there, and when way back when Mary Pickford was a starlet and a big time movie star, one of the very first movie stars, and Douglas Fairbanks, they were together. They had a ranch here, and that was a lake, and it was known as Toluca Lake. And there was a natural spring there that bubbles up natural spring water from an artesian well. Now, over the years and the decades that have ensued from that time, of course, the city of Burbank and the city of Los Angeles have tapped into that natural spring well, and the water is utilized for other reasons. Here adds to the drinking water in Los Angeles, but it also let enough water flow through Toluca Lake right there to allow the water to be fresh and clean. And they have a pump station there now. And all the big executives built their houses there. One of the first big movie stars was Johnny Weissmuller, and he was the first Tarzan, and some say the greatest Tarzan ever. And he had his house there, and every morning he'd be swimming in the lake. He was an Olympic swimmer, Johnny Weissmuller, a world champion, and every morning Johnny Weissmuller would be seen out there swimming the lake as his morning workout ensued. And so then the movie stars started moving in there, like Bing Crosby and Bob Hope, and of course Walt Disney. When he started Walt Disney Studios, he bought a house there, and this whole area of Toluca Lake became what it is today. Still a mecca for movie stars that want to stay close to the studios that they're making films at, and still a mecca for a lot of people coming up through the ranks in the motion picture TV business here, live in this general area of Burbank and Universal Studios. So you got the Smokehouse there. If you ever have the opportunity, go eat at the Smokehouse. It's terrific food. It's a bit expensive though. You're going to pay some price to go in there. You certainly won't get out of there for dinner for two for less than about $200. That's of course if you drink. Now I don't drink, but if you have any kind of cocktails or anything like that, the Smokehouse is going to be expensive. But I'll tell you something, you'll never have a finer steak in Los Angeles than at the Smokehouse. And they have great pasta too, and great spaghetti. They have a beautiful menu. It's just a great place to be. All right, with me, Jesse T, kind of hanging out here. We're going to go back to the foundations of the Jesse T show now, as we're not going to be on for a continual hour anymore every day. We're going to start, sometimes it'll go 5 minutes, I might go 15 minutes, maybe I might go 20 or 30 minutes, an hour. We're going to try to keep it short and sweet and right to the point. I know you're busy, and we're trying to kind of cater to what your needs are, give you the cutting-edge information, and having some great fun here in a very short period of time. So we're standing out here in front of the Warner Brothers Studios. And the Warner Brothers Studios, my grandfather worked at for 51 years. He was hired by Jack Warner in 1938, and he stayed on the lot here. Of course, at that time it was the studio system, and the lots owned the theaters, and the studios owned the theaters. And what would happen was they would make the movies and only distribute their movies in their theaters. And of course that was broken up by Congress due to monopolies and such like that. But the thing here about Warner Brothers, one of the cool things is you can see behind me, and maybe the glare is too much there, it comes in, these great posters. Now these posters, for decades and decades and decades, these posters were not put on there by like you would do a billboard. They actually had artists come out here and paint these posters. The scaffolding would come down from the top, and they would actually paint these posters, and they would put a veneer over the poster after they painted it so the weather wouldn't wear it out, and they would paint the different shows and the different movies, primarily the different movies that would come out. Now these posters are done a little bit different. They're done like billboards. They come out here with these sheets here, and they wipe them on there with glue on the background, and they have all the finishing so they don't fade. But you'll see here at Warner Brothers, when all these used to be films up here, now there are a lot of TV shows that they advertise. And this is kind of a cool thing because unlike any other studios here in Los Angeles, this is the only place that has these giant-sized posters. They're so big, we're across the street. These are studios, these are the studio offices right behind here. And then right behind this building here that these posters are attached to, you can see Shameless is right there. Right behind here are where the actual sound stages. And some of the biggest sound stages in the world are here at the Warner Brothers Studio. When I was a kid, that basically was my playground. That was my backyard. My grandfather was there, and I worked on my first film with John Wayne called The Shootist. That's the last film he did before he passed away from cancer. But I worked on that film as a teenager, around 16 years old, and I then was a laborer on that film. But then I got cast as a cast member and had a couple of lines, 4 or 5 lines. One of them, they were all with John Wayne. I was a stable boy, and the final production of that film, they cut all of my lines out except for one line that I had in there. But anyhow, The Shootist, and that's kind of where Well, I had gotten my SAG card about 5 years before that, but that was kind of the first time I ever had to use my SAG card. Anyway, but here, I used to come play here when I was 8 and 9 years old in 1968 and 1969. I would play on the back lot, and if anybody said anything to me, I said, well, who are you? They would say, and I would say, my grandfather's J. Glenn Orr. Oh, J. Glenn, yeah, no problem. J. Glenn Orr was a fixture here on the lot. He was a truck driver, a Teamsters truck driver, but he was a big country boy, a big old man, 6'3", 375, 400 pounds of country boy mass, born at the turn of the 20th century in the 1900s. And you can see some of the films here as I walk by, TV shows, The Big Bang Theory, and we have Arrow, and we have Flash right here. And then it goes all the way down here, down the street, and these big studios. If you can see right over here exactly what I was talking about, you might be able to see that. See the scaffolding? See, they're going to be putting up another poster right there. They're going to be either they're going to put up another poster, and that's what they do. And so that's how it works. So you actually see exactly what I talked about there a few minutes ago. This is where Ellen DeGeneres shoots her show, and it's where all these shows here that we walk by shoot their actual shows. Anyhow, the reason why I came out here because I wanted to talk about a couple of things here that are happening in Los Angeles. Then I'm going to jump on the big national scene for a few minutes, and then the state scene will be done. So we're going to skip real fast through the Jesse T show, and in that respect. By the way, the show is brought to you by Win-Win-Win, a real estate and loan firm, Win-Win-Win. And if you'd like to buy one of their new listings, they have a new listing up in the Santa Clarita, Valencia area, beautiful area, just north or behind me, about 35 minutes, a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house, split-level house with a pool, split-level lot, 12,000 square feet, almost a 2,500 square foot house for only $678,000. That is an excellent price considering the average house here in the San Fernando Valley is $590,000 to $625,000 for a little 1,000 to 1,500 square foot house. So that's an excellent price, and you may want to check that out. You can check that out by going to www.facebook.com/Jesse Terrero Broker, and you'll see the ad that we have up there. Another listing, if you're looking for a great investment by a university here in California, we have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo for sale, listed at $69,000. And if you rent the rooms out, the 2 bedrooms out to university students, you'll make about $1,200 to $1,400 a month income. And with just a 10% investment, it's about $7,000. You're going to have a positive cash flow, somewhere in the area of about $800 to $900 a month, positive cash flow. And that's about 10 grand a year, so that's not bad. Plus the equity buildup, they pay for your unit, put some money in your pocket, nice investment. And we have that available for you. You might want to give us a call at 1-800-684-8699. 1-800-684-8699 for that investment. We also just took a listing of a ranch for sale. If you're into survivalists and you are a prepper, this is a perfect place. It's about 2.5 hours north of me here. It's 25 acres for $60,000. It is beautiful, backs up to BLM land, and you got 2 pads up there way up on top for you preppers and survivors, and you can see way yonder down in the valley in Twin Oaks, California, with 2 wells. A well that pumps beautiful artesian, fresh, clean water, alkaline water, which is just great, and a new well with a new well pump on it, and a secondary well that just needs to be completed in its drilling. But it's a beautiful place to put up a nice house. It's got a corral. You can have cattle. You can grow food. You have water. It snows up there. It's hot up there. It's got a lake nearby, a river nearby. Kern River is nearby. So it's just a lot of things, and you're out in solitude. And for those of you who believe the apocalypse now, you know, in the zombie apocalypse or something that may happen, and you're a prepper or survivalist, this is the perfect place. You've got, if you're a good shot with a 30-06, you got a clear shot to your enemy coming up from miles. So if you can hit something at the 1,500 yards out, boy, I'll tell you, you got that shot there. But it's a beautiful place and a terrific ranch. Only $60,000, so there's a little room for negotiation. Just a great place to go and enjoy, camp out, ride your dirt bikes, whatever you want to do. Endless fun in the sun of California. Also have one more listing that I wanted to talk about that we just took at www. That's Win-Win-Win Real Estate Firm and Loan Company. Another listing I wanted to tell you about, which I think is terrific. We talked about the property up in Valencia. We talked about the property near the university, the condo, and we talked about the ranch property. There is another listing that I wanted to chat with you about, and I think this one's a really nice buy for somebody. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for about $295 here in the San Fernando Valley, about 1,200 square feet, with a 2-car attached garage on the front. So you could easily make this into a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house and put a price tag on it and flip it at about $450 to $475. It's what we call a pocket listing that I have, as I'm a broker for over 40 years here in Southern California, and you'll make an excellent, nice profit here. And you can give us a call once again at 818-805-4400 for that one, or 800-684-8699, or go to one of our 4 websites. That's www.buy.jessetmrsold.com or www.seller.jessetmrsold.com or www.mrsold.mrjessetmrsold.com, or check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Jesse Terrero Broker. So let's jump into it now. One of the things I wanted to show you, you see this mountain behind me? This is called Mount Hollywood, or Mount Lee, actually. That's the official name. People call it Mount Hollywood, though. I've hiked all the way up there. In fact, in my training, I've run all the way up to the top of that ridge. There's a fire road right there. You can see right there. I've run all the way to the top of the ridge up there, way over here to this point. Beautiful view. Right there, you're about 4,000 feet high there at the top. And the other side of that, over in that direction, is Griffith Park. 5,000 roughly square acres of land at D.W. Griffith. That's right, the great movie producer, but land baron. He was a German, and he was a land baron bequeathed to the city of Los Angeles upon his death over 100 years ago. That was on fire today, actually. They just put out the fire recently by the Hollywood Observatory, the LA Observatory up there, which is just basically, if I could throw a rock over that mountain, right over in that direction over there. Now, the reason why I'm showing this is because what they want to do here, this is where all the trade stuff is in Burbank, Warner Brothers Studios here. This is where the painters and the artists and the contractors and the framers and the electricians and the welders, this is where they all are housed in these buildings here, like warehouses. This is where they would build all the sets. Well, just a little bit this way, if you can see that studio, that studio right there, that sound stage right there, where my finger's pointing. Right on the other side of that, it's a big parking lot. Okay, and on the other side of that is Forest Lawn. Now, this is where they shot all those John Wayne movies, early John Wayne movies, out in the countryside, running through the water. There used to be a natural river that ran through here, the LA River. Now it's all filled in by cement basins and all that. But Warner Brothers just proposed to Mayor Garcetti, Confetti Garcetti, Baggy Pants. They just proposed a $100 million tram like they have in Palm Springs that goes up to the mountain. A $100 million tram that will take you up this mountain, over the top to the Hollywood sign, and they're going to build a big recreational museum, like the Getty Museum, except dealing with Hollywood and all these terrific art pieces and stuff up there by the Hollywood sign. And it's a $100 million project that Warner Brothers said that they would foot the bill. Of course, AT&T owns Warner Brothers. And I think it's really cool because they've been wanting to do something with that Hollywood sign. If you've ever been up to the Hollywood sign on the other side, it's quite a hike. You have to be in pretty good shape. I mean, I would run that up there to the sign and back down. But your trips into people's neighborhoods and stuff like that. They want to put this tram up. It'll be about a 6-minute ride from just a parking structure over here with a tourist center, and then up on top of the museum and a tourist recreational area, and you can get good, nice selfie shots of the Hollywood sign, downtown LA, Hollywood, Catalina Island, the ocean, Malibu, Venice, everywhere. It's just unbelievable, the view from up there. I've been up there over the years, probably 20 times in my lifetime growing up here in the Burbank, San Fernando Valley area. We used to ride our dirt bikes up there and get in trouble because you weren't allowed to. But that was prior, after 1970. Before 1970, you were allowed to ride your dirt bikes and horses on the fire trails, but you can't do that anymore. I don't know why. But nevertheless, that's kind of cool, huh? Would that be cool? So they're making that pitch. Universal Studios wants to do the same thing. And Universal Studios is over in this direction, over here. In fact, Kirk Douglas and Spartacus. There's a hillside there when the guys came down, the Greeks came down, the slaves, and attacked the Roman legionnaires, and they showed thousands and thousands and thousands of warriors running down the hill. That was the hill they ran down, because that was all a backlot there at Universal Studios and all open. And the houses that are up on top of the ridgetop weren't there at the time in the 1950s, and that's where they shot Spartacus. This canyon here goes up the road, and this was the original canyon, Barham, but it was called Dark Canyon. And the reason why it was called Dark Canyon, because it was dark. And that's where the Bandidos, Velasquez Rocks, this is one of the areas, and also Pancho Villa raided this canyon too. And they would rob the Wells Fargo stagecoach line and anybody coming through there. So it was enter at your own risk, this canyon, years and years and years ago. In fact, Wyatt Earp rode the stagecoach line here at the turn of the 20th century, in the 1890s. He was the Wells Fargo security boss, and he used to ride this line here because it was real dangerous in there. And when they found out that Wyatt Earp was there, the bandits kind of thought twice. So some really cool history that goes on here in that respect. One of the things I wanted to talk about, though, today, which is really crazy, man, this Kavanaugh nominee that President Trump has nominated to fill the Supreme Court seat. I'm not for Kavanaugh, and I'll tell you why. He tends to vote a little bit. Well, here's why. He's a Bushite. Kavanaugh is a Bushite. He worked with Bush. He was appointed by Bush to the appellate seat of the 12th district, of the DC district, that is, not the 12th. And I'm not a big fan of Bush, and I'm not a big fan of Kavanaugh. I've read about 8 or 9 of his cases already, and his decisions and dissents. And he tends to be wishy-washy on some things that I think you should be very conservative on. And I'm not a big fan of Kavanaugh. I think we're going to be worried like we are with Justice Roberts, the Chief Justice, who was appointed, who was supposed to be a constitutionalist, an originalist, a textist, but kind of has been wishy-washy and a disappointment, in my opinion. I think Kavanaugh could be that. I think Kavanaugh had the pick from the get-go. I think that there might have been a wink and a smile with Justice Kennedy, who's retiring, to hire Kavanaugh because Kavanaugh was one of his favorite law clerks. So was Gorsuch, but Kavanaugh was one of his favorite law clerks and tends to think like Kennedy, a little bit wishy-washy on some ideas in terms of some of the topics of our time. That he tends to be a little liberal at times, and he tends to not be the kind of judge that will stand out and put his finger on the spot. He tends to be very conservative, but conservative with caution. And I would have much rather seen one of the other two. I would have liked to have seen the woman. That's who I was hoping was going to get it. She's only 46, but she's cutting edge. She's of this timeline, this generation that's inheriting America right now, the Generation X. And I think she would have been great. We'll have to see what Kavanaugh is going to turn out to be. I think he will be passed as the next Supreme Court justice. But I'm concerned about him if you start reading some of his stuff. Also, the progressives like him to some degree. The lefty loonies and the Dems, some of the liberal Dems, the progressive socialists like him to some degree. And anybody they like scares me. Because our country was based on independence and the Constitution. And if he truly is an originalist, and he truly is a constitutionalist, I hope he is, that he will follow that as verbatim. I hope he does. So I'm not real happy with the Kavanaugh nominee that Trump put forward for that. I would have liked to seen the woman. You know, one of the things that I'm so happy that Donald Trump is doing, and that is he flew to Europe and he's going to get in the face of all these EU pussies, and he's going to say, hey, pay up. Go gangster style, man. Go mafioso style. Pay up. UN costs. Why should we foot the bill and these countries not foot any of the bill? Why should we foot the bill for further protection and these countries don't foot all their bill? They're so far in back payments, they would be evicted on a 60-day notice if they were my tenant. I'm telling you. So I hope that he goes there and he just slaps them around and says, hey man, you got to pay up. It's about time that you pay up, because America is done paying your way. Okay? And I hope he does that. There's a lot of indication that he is going to do that, and I hope he does, and he whips them all into shape. That's why I like Trump, because he's not afraid to say what he believes. And you know, many times what he believes is right. On these tariffs, I'm not a big tariff guy, but let me tell you something. Surprisingly, I was reading articles today about some things that were happening on the industrial scene in America, specifically about aluminum and steel, because this has been a big whoop-de-doo that the aluminum costs and the steel costs were going to go up. I'm going to get out of this wind right now. It was a big whoop-de-doo about this, that these tariffs were going to spark all of this unemployment and all of this stuff that was going to be so bad and so horrible because of the tariffs. Well, quite the opposite seems to be happening. In the aluminum and steel business, what's taking place here is that aluminum and steel corporations back east and in the Midwest are, in actuality, what they're actually doing is they're actually hiring. There are companies that have been closed for years, and they've turned their systems back on, and they're actually hiring hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people. Isn't that the craziest turnaround? I read at least 6 articles about that, and that was supposedly the hardest hit. See, look it. Here's the problem. China has been kicking our butt, kicking our ass, and taking from us. They're our mortal enemy. MacArthur, at the end of World War II, when he was in Japan, he told President Truman, our real enemy are the Chinese, and we should go all the way to Peking. That's now known as Beijing. Okay? And we should just nuke them if we have to, because they're our big enemy. Patton told Eisenhower, his general, his leader, and told FDR, not too many years before that, that the real enemy was Russia. The real enemy was communism. The real enemy was Stalin, and we should take the Germans and our American troops, and we should just go, and if we have to nuke them, let's nuke them. Both those men were right, because look what it's turned out to be. Russia and China are our mortal enemies. China does not like us, guys. They're a communist government. They want to take everything that we have. They want to put you under a communist, capitalist, socialist rule. Do you want that? Well, if you do, then you're going to allow them to continue stealing money from us. Essentially, these tariffs are a tax on American citizens, yes, in the short run. But in the long run, China will crumble. They do not have the ability to continue on without American dollars. We are their number one consumer, and they don't have the ability. And the corporations that are over there, the traitorous American corporations who only care about the bottom line, they don't care about your job or your family. They don't care about anybody even in their company. I mean, these CEOs, they got these $100 million parachutes, right? They could care less. And so they'll go use slave labor and children like they have in China. They don't care, right? Who cares? And so the thing about that is that they will eventually come our way, because it's all about making money to them. And if they're losing money over there and shipping their goods back here and not making the kind of money, they're going to start opening places back here. We have to bring a level playing field. There will never be free trade. Each country will always have some sort of tariff. But the tariffs that are put upon us and the American worker are astronomical. Mexico is not our friend. The Mexican government, heck, they were having U-boats in World War II, German Nazi U-boats, petrol and gas up in Veracruz, in Mexico. Mexico does not like us. I wish you people would understand that. They don't like us. Canada's throwing hands in the air. What is Canada going to do? Wave them like you just don't care. Canada likes American goods. And this Trudeau, he's such a wimp. Such a sissy wimp. You know, just a diaper pants. You know, he'll be out soon enough. Europe has got to start paying their way. We have to have a level playing field on trade. Maybe not free, but it has to level out. That's what it's all about. And if we have to suffer some pain to get there, then that's what we have to do. Simple and sweet. These elections coming up, the Dems are going to lose. You lefty progressive socialist lunatics, you're going to lose. You guys are so far off the left side, off the deep end. There used to be a center left. There is no longer any center left. It's left, 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 left. And you people just want to obstruct because you hate Trump because you lost. You just lost, and you thought Hillary, rip him off Clinton, was going to be your gal pal. Well, it ain't happening. Trump got in there because over half of America, and now more on all the polls, are saying, hey, this guy's not doing too bad a job. This is why the walkaway movement is so powerful. People, especially African Americans, are walking away from the Democratic Party, left and right. You see it more and more and more now. And those that are left in the Democratic Party are scratching their heads saying, wow, you only hardcore people, you ain't got a job, you're out there protesting, Black Lives Matters, Antifa, you're following the senators and the congressmen and the cabinet members and the assistants all around trying to harass them. Man, I'll tell you something, if you did that to me, I'd knock your ass out. That's it. Fire me from my job, I'd knock your ass out. You come throw crap on my family and put my family in jeopardy, I'm going to hit you over the head with the chair. I'll take all y'all on. I don't care. Take me down then. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't get away in my camp with me. I'll tell you that much. But, you know, politics is politics, but that's gone too far. And I think people in America are saying it's gone too far. You're putting people at risk, and there's going to be some harm coming. And if you guys want to have that kind of harm on the left side, if you want a social civil war, bring it on. Bring it on. Okay? Fine. If that's what you want. You're only going to end up losing and weakening America, because that's what the globalists and the elitists want. That's what the Vatican wants. That's what the monarchy wants of England. That's what the corporations and the insurance companies, that's what they want. That's what the bankers want. They want free trade. They want slave labor. They want to control every aspect of your life. They want a socialist, communist, progressive ideology. That's what they want. They don't want you to have independent thought. They don't like the Declaration of Independence and Constitution. They don't, because if they did, they would be completely different. That's right. Hey, man, I'm just calling it like I see it. You know, what can I tell you? That's what I'm all about. Here in the state of California, I'm going to end up on this stuff right now and call it a show. Here in the state of California, guys, if you think you're going to vote for the governor to be Newsom, GRUSOME Newsome, what has got into your friggin' head? GRUSOME Newsome ran San Francisco. Have you even bothered to see what's going on in San Francisco now because of GRUSOME Newsome? Conventions, large corporations are pulling out their conventions from San Francisco. San Francisco's income is based on conventions. That's where they make most of their money. Like Las Vegas makes it on gambling and conventions. San Francisco makes it on tourism and conventions. And they're pulling out. Several major conventions have left because they're afraid, because their people are afraid to walk around the tourist areas. Because of the homeless, the hypodermic needles, the crazies talking themselves, walking in circles, pooping and peeing in public, throwing trash down, begging for money, scaring people, intimidating people, the smell, the spit, everything. San Francisco is completely falling apart. It is no longer the city by the bay. It's a city by the sewer hole. That's what it is, the cesspool. That's what it is. And guess who was in charge of that liberal left-wing thinking? GRUSOME Newsome. So if you want the state of California, guys, to be like San Francisco, you just keep on going. If you want the state of California to be like what happened in San Diego, for our San Diego viewers and listeners, where you have a hepatitis A breakout not too long ago because all of the human feces, the defecation and the poop what happens is when poop dries out, it goes into the air, and you ingest it when you're down there in the tourism. You ingest the dust into your lungs, and you get sick, and that's one way of getting hepatitis A. Yeah, duh, They had to spray that stuff with toxic hazmat material for weeks and months on end, and chase the homeless poopers out. Oh, didn't I tell you San Diego's a sanctuary city? And Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, need I say more? Lost Angeles. It is lost. And I fear it will never come back. Trash, filth, 55 blocks of Skid Row, homeless, police can't do anything. They shoot at firemen. Disgusting, rotten, stinking, lousy, crazy nuts on the street, gangs, MS-13, human trafficking, pothole-filled streets, courts that are congested, that aren't for you. I mean, and the list goes on and on. High taxes, super high taxes, super high taxes. And the list goes on and on and on. Traffic, anger, violence. Everybody's mad, everybody's mean. What happened to courtesy and manners? The neighborhoods are falling apart. The neighborhoods are getting spotty. What's good in a bad neighborhood? So you see, LA, are you kidding? You can thank Mayor Garcetti confetti baggy pants for that one. And you can thank the state of California for El Stupido Brown. And you can thank the state of California for the assembly. I call them the ass assembly of the state of California. Bunch of left-wing progressive loonies. I'm telling you guys, we better get back to some conservative values. You better get back to it, at least center left, because there is none of that. If you don't, something serious is going to happen in this country. Mark my words. It's going to happen. And we're all going to rub our hands and go, oh me, oh my, oh me. What happened? It shouldn't have happened here. What went wrong? What did this do? What went wrong? Where did we go wrong? You went wrong because you voted for the people that are in this office. That's what you did. You put the people in this office in this country. Thank God for President Trump. Man, thank God for Trump. Kick some ass. Ask some questions later and you're a president. Come back. I love it. More money, less taxes, low unemployment ever for African Americans, Latinos, and women. People are quitting their jobs now because they're finding better employment opportunities in other companies, better benefits, better wages, so they're not afraid to quit their job. He lowered our taxes. He's increased our military. Made the world afraid of us and respect us. You darn right. That's right. Back down NK, Rocket Boy. China don't know what to do with itself. Its economy is blowing up down. It's going down. If you watch the finance, China's in some serious doo-doo. Russia don't know what to do with themselves. Venezuela, 40,000% interest in that socialist nation of Venezuela. Come on. Trump is kicking butt and asking questions later. The Jesse T Show, tomorrow, right here, live at 5. See ya. Oh, by the way, comment below. Let me know what you think about some of the things I talked about. And you can catch us on YouTube. We'll be posting this up for a podcast on YouTube Live channel, Jesse Terrell, and Instagram too as well. Okay? Take care. Got to go make some money, baby.